Well, the stock market rally today led, of course, out the gate by that news of Warren Buffett making $1 billion investment in Apple. There was also word that he's going to help finance a bid. We broke that on Friday night with Dan Gilbert for Yahoo. So all of a sudden, Warren Buffett and technology. Now, although NASDAQ was the best performing index because of those names, investors continue really to huddle on those blue chip names. Think about this, 110 names on the New York Stock Exchange made new 52-week highs. Only 21 were at new lows. Conversely, NASDAQ had 68 stocks at 52-week lows, and far fewer made highs. For more on the message of the markets, let's bring in my buddy Steve Cortes. Steve, hadn't talked to you in a while about the markets. We've been down here recently. But overall, from February 11th, the markets made this remarkable rally, and now it feels like it needs some sort of spark or it needs some sort of hint on where to go next.
Right. Charles, no, thanks for having me back. Look, I think that to some degree, I view this as in the overall market, this is the eye of the storm. So we went through an incredible front end of the hurricane in January, right? People couldn't sleep at night. Now things have calmed down, but I don't think it's necessarily time to be imprudent. I think that the second half of the storm still beckons. I happen to like Apple a lot. I think there's a lot of value there. So I'm not negative on everything, but overall, I think time to be cautious.
You know, Steve, I want to talk to you about Donald Trump's economic policies. Now, initially, you weren't a fan. You've jumped on the Trump train. There was an article in The Atlantic. I know it's a left-wing publication, but, you know, when we talk about the economy, we want to hear all voices and whether or not what you would say to someone who says, okay, Donald Trump's plan to deport 11 million undocumented illegal immigrants will cost $600 billion and therefore is a bad idea. What do you say about that?
Right, Charles. And no, you're exactly right. I come late to the Trump train, early enough, I hope, but I speak with the zeal of a convert. He persuaded me. I wasn't convinced initially that he was a conservative. I'm very persuaded by that now. Here's, I think, the main thing when it comes to economics going forward and Donald Trump. We don't just have a trade deficit. We don't just have a budget deficit. We have a growth deficit. And I think the only candidate who has seriously addressed it, and it's the reason he's our Republican nominee, is Donald Trump. We are going to massively cut taxes. We're going to flatten the tax code. We're going to simplify regulation. We are capable of growing.
Steve, with all due respect, those are the low-hanging fruit aspects of it. What about some of the more other things, some of the other promises that are made, including the deportation? I mean, is it... Listen, I've looked at the numbers, and I know illegals take more out of our economy than they put in. Is it worth up to $600 billion to send them all back, have them get in line, and bring them back in an orderly fashion?
No, listen, I will say this. As an Hispanic, I am pro-immigration. I think immigration overall, legal immigration, is a huge net positive to the American economy. I do agree with Donald Trump that we have a broken border and that we have a broken system. Both of those need to be addressed for national security and for economic security reasons. Massive deportation, to me, is a problem. My guess is that was more of a campaign posture than a real policy solution once he becomes president. But I'm very, very confident in terms of growth, he is the man who will institute policies, mainly lower regulation, lower taxation, that will lead to not sub 2% growth, which you've endured for 10 years, but 3, 4, 6% growth.
I think that's the point. And I'd like to hear him even talk up more about removing those fees and those regulations. I don't think people realize just how much of a real true tax that has been on every single thing that they spend their money on day in and day out. Steve Cortes, man, I miss you. Glad to have you back.
Thank you.
All right, see you soon. Hey, coming up, the attacks against Donald Trump now really ramping up from the left, but also Hillary Clinton. She threw a few daggers at the presumptive GOP nominee. So the mainstream media piling on. We're going to have the details next.